All right, welcome in. We're going to get your February break started off right with the Western New York Wrestling Roundtable. I'm Francis Beck, joined by the expert himself, Matt O'Rourke, and he's got a special guest, which I'll let him introduce you this morning.
Yeah, Francis, thanks for coming in this morning. I know you've been killing it all weekend, and a lot of the other guys with around the clock, basically hockey coverage. So we appreciate your time. This is the first time we met after post sectionals, and then we won't meet again. I'll be on to the state tournament on Thursday, so this will be our last kind of roundup before then. But I do have in studio with me Depew senior Carson Alberti, a sectional champion, returning state place winner from the 2020 season. Wrestles as part of the Depew West Seneca combined team, and he's going to head back to the New York State Wrestling Tournament on Thursday for the third time. Looking to obviously place, looking to win it, possibly. He's the third seed at 152 pounds, and joined by Depew and West Seneca assistant coach Matt Frankowski here as well this morning. So thanks for coming in, guys. Carson, man, it's been fun watching you compete over the years. I've been doing this for for a while, get to know you, get to kind of know your story of Depew and some of the combined rosters we've seen. Depew early on was its own team, in ECIC2. Then we had a combination with Cleve Hill, with Alden, and now ultimately with West Seneca. That's definitely a lot of teammates and a lot of driving around over the years, to get your mat time and to do what you love to do in the winter. So I guess, my first question really is like, what's, with all the time and I'm sure your parents have driven you around, and your friends and family and coaches like Coach Frankowski and stuff, I guess. What's what do you look back on before we kind of get into the wrestling conversation I want to get into? What do you kind of look back on all these years of like the hard work that you put in, and also like the supporting staff around you to kind of get to where you've been, given all your coaches and all your teammates and everything you've had in your 6 years on the varsity mat?
Yeah, just being around different teammates every year is pretty different, but I just like to get it done by myself. I've had a lot of good drill partners over the year, one being my brother. Wrestling with him, he's made me better, and I would always try to better myself, even around different guys, different travel situations, but I'm looking forward to making my fourth trip to Albany and make a statement down there.
Okay, nice. All right, so let's get into wrestling. How'd you get started in wrestling? How'd you get into it, and who introduced you to wrestling first?
I started wrestling when I was 5 years old at the Lancaster Youth Club. Wrestled with Anthony Garino, Carl Shirkus, all them. They got me started on it. My first year, towards the end of the season, I won the youth states. And then after that, I ended up going to wrestle at Cobra Wrestling Academy, as a lot of people probably know, with Keith Mowdy. That's what really developed me into the wrestler that I am now. Still use all those techniques. All the Ostrowski brothers, they really helped me develop as a wrestler, and probably couldn't be to the level I am today without those guys.
Yeah, and those are some legendary names. You mentioned Ostrowski, Mowdy, Shirkus, all those guys. That's definitely some legendary, successful pedigree that you learn from an early on, from, your early stages in wrestling. Who were your first coaches at the youth level, and then in modified wrestling? I don't know if you ever wrestled any modified matches, but who were your first kind of youth coaches when you were maybe like, elementary age to young middle school age?
That's got to be Keith Mowdy, Kevin Lusinski, Mike Catanzaro's dad, Mike Catanzaro Sr.
Yep.
They would always run the Cobra dual teams. So those were probably my first coaches at like the junior high level, and then did not wrestle modified. I started right on varsity in 7th grade.
Yeah. I was like doing my calculations here, like, wait a second, this kid never wrestled modified. Yeah. You've never wrestled modified because you've never placed lower than third at the sectional tournament. In 7th grade, you were a finalist. In 8th grade, you were third in the section. In 2018 and 19, you won a sectional title, I believe. Big schools in 2019 in Division I as part of the Depew Cleve Hill roster. And then the next year in Division II as part of the Alden Depew roster. And then you obviously wrestled to a 5th place finish in the state. And then this year, of course, is the combined West Seneca Depew team headed back to the state tournament. So, yeah, not a lot of time to wrestle modified in there. And it was probably better for you and everybody else that you were at varsity in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said this is your third trip. Did you go to the journeyman tournament?
Yeah, I did.
So you count. What do you count? You count that as 4 trips or 3 trips to the state tournament?
I went in 7th.
You went 7th
as a wild card.
Okay, gotcha. So you 4. So wild card. Man, you've been around long enough. You've been involved in the wild card thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 4th trip to the state tournament. I lost track of that one. My bad. What are you looking forward to this time around? All of the experience that you've had, just getting prepared for it. All of driving around, practicing, 2 weeks off, having to make weight. What's different this time around in your 4th and final trip to the state tournament that maybe you didn't do that you are gonna do differently than your first couple of trips, or is there anything, I suppose?
A lot of people let the crowd down there get to them, and it's a big venue, a lot of people down there, but I'm looking to pick up right where I left off. Finished my 10th grade year, 5th in the state, and obviously it was a good season, but after that, probably a week after, I didn't really feel as satisfied as I wanted to, so I'm looking to climb the podium even more this year and leave my mark down there. It's my last trip there.
Yeah. What do you remember about being a wild card, or no, your first 2 trips? Because your second one, you won the sectional title, and obviously you didn't place in either of those. But what kind of experience do you get when you're a young guy like that in the state tournament and you miss placement, but okay, I'm a freshman. I have time to get there. I have time to place. I have time to make some noise. What do you remember about being like a younger guy and just missing out on the podium a couple of times compared to what you know now and your experience you have now?
Yeah, time doesn't stop for everyone, actually anyone, to be honest. So when I did go to states in 7th, 9th, and 10th grade, probably the 7th and 9th more specifically though, but those years, I had a lot of people telling me you're young, you're only a freshman, you're only in 7th grade, but to be honest, that's now I'm a senior and I don't even remember those conversations that much, and I've only placed in the state once, not really satisfied with that. So a lot of people let the crowd get to them, and they're a lot of being satisfied with getting there. Don't be satisfied with getting there. You got this far in the season, you might as well make one last push at making the state podium.
Sure, I get that. So you're the 3rd seed this weekend in Division I at 152 pounds. You'll wrestle in the pre-quarterfinal versus, it could be a rematch of your sectional final with Sweet Home's Cam Millender, or you could see Iona Prep's CHSAA champ Max Watson. Whoever wins that match, you'll see one of them. And then after that, if you say you win that match, you could possibly see Ben Rogers from Wantagh, who's also a returning state tournament representative. So, I don't want to say, I'm not going to pick on that match specifically, but what's different from the rounds that in your experience from the state tournament, where you wrestle somebody with maybe less experience than you, and then you continually move on, usually unless there's a lot of upsets, with someone that has state tournament experience, maybe also maybe a place winner, maybe not a place winner, but someone who's been there and competed in the past. How do you kind of manage each round next to next? Do you wrestle every round the same? I guess how do you handle that at the state tournament?
Everyone's at the state tournament for a reason. It's the best of the best in the state. So, the first match typically is like, I wouldn't want to say a warm-up match, but it's a good match, get some sweat in, feel it out, get used to the environment. And then once you progressively move on with the tournament, that's when the matches get tougher. But you got to wrestle the same, wrestle your style. Don't change anything up because someone tells you something. Just wrestle tough, stay in good position, and that's probably the key to doing well down there.
All right, cool. What's the kind of your mindset at states? Are you someone that goes in with a lot of confidence? Do you not let like the noise and the lights get to you, or what's kind of your attitude or your personal mentality situation going into the state tournament?
My mentality going down there has got to be, I like to stay super confident in myself. There's no reason to be nervous. It's just a wrestling match. You're wrestling one guy. Not even all eyes are on you until you get to like the finals, to be honest. So, I mean, realistically, only 20 people are probably watching your match. So you shouldn't really let the crowd get to you. But I like to stay confident in myself and my ability to do well. So, basically that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of leads me to a new question that I had. What is your advice for somebody who's going there, who's going to wrestle there for the first time? What's your best advice for a first-time state tournament wrestler?
Probably my 7th and 9th grade year. Like I said, my first 2 years there, it was all satisfied with like being there. If I got the podium, that was great. But I enjoyed being there a little too much, if I could say that. But if you're a young guy going in there, don't be nervous about anything. It's just a tournament. It's a wrestling tournament. You're gonna wrestle tougher guys, but just wrestle your own style. Upsets happen, so don't doubt yourself. Just wrestle to your ability and be confident down there.
Nice, good advice, man. Okay, so what's your training like leading up to the state tournament? Do you train differently? Do you mix it up with practice partners normally? How do you prepare for states, I guess, from a practice level?
Yeah, for the state tournament practices, we practice with a bunch of different schools, typically at Williamsville North. So I've been wrestling with Cam Catcherbone, one of the best in the country, so that'll prepare you for the state tournament. And then just a bunch of different styles I like to wrestle with to get used to wrestling everybody, because everyone's different in wrestling. So I wrestle a bunch of different styles at practice, and I just train harder than I ever have. And then the last couple days, you kind of cool it down and refuel yourself. And then that's when you get a nice sweat down there on Thursday when you get down there, and then you set yourself ready for Friday.
Nice. How long do you kind of hold on to? I imagine that your answer for this will say something to the tune of it's changed over the years. But how long do you hold on to a sectional championship or a wild card or whatever? But I mean, the last 3 times you've wrestled in the sectional tournament, obviously not last year. How long do you hold on to the I'm a section champ before you start turning a switch and thinking about the state tournament instead?
Probably the day after sectionals. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's smart.
A lot of people. My first sectional title was great. The second one was good too because I avenged that loss in the class finals. A nail biter, won that in overtime, so that one felt good. This year I came in as the favorite, but winning a sectional title is great locally. It's a big accomplishment. Don't put it past me, but
sure, I
like to set goals bigger than that. So I'm looking forward to Albany and wrestling at the state tournament.
Cool. I like that, man. Good answer. What's your backtrack a little bit? What's your normal off-season routine been like the last couple of years as you've gotten more advanced in your wrestling? Do you travel more? Do you stay local? What's been your routine the last couple of seasons?
Just local. I stay practicing, but the thing is, mainly it's lifting for football season. But obviously, I'm a senior now, so that has passed.
Sure.
But every year leading up to football season, that was like a big thing for me, was lifting. So I'd focus more on that, and then practicing here and there, and then but yeah, probably lifting is one of the biggest things for me, getting stronger.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So a lot of athletes play a fall sport. Obviously, football for many. Some play soccer. Some run cross country. Do whatever. And then also transition to a winter sport: basketball, hockey, maybe wrestling. I know you had a big fall for the Wildcats on the gridiron. How do you manage, and you carried the ball a lot, so that obviously means you're probably getting hit more often than a lot of other, anybody else out there. How do you kind of manage your football season where you take a lot of hits, you put a lot of miles on your feet, and come out swinging immediately into the wrestling season without, a delay really with injuries and I know obviously you're not the biggest guy in the world, so that's an element to it too. But how did you kind of manage your end of your football season and transitioning in the wrestling season, staying mostly without injuries, or did you rest, or how did that happen for you?
Football, it makes you so much more tough, to be honest. Everyone that wrestles should play football, to be honest.
Everyone that plays football should wrestle.
Football should wrestle.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Francis, you hear that? Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Everyone that plays football should wrestle, definitely. Football is a gladiator sport. You're not going out there to be friends with the guy. You're hitting someone every play. So I take that confidence from football, hitting the biggest dudes out there. I mean, like I said, like Matt said, I'm only 5'9", like 155 pounds. So realistically, I'm playing against dudes that are like 6'5". So I'm hitting those guys, and then I'm going out and wrestling guys probably my size. So obviously, I take that confidence from football into wrestling, and it transitions pretty well.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, you answered everything super good, man.
You know what, Matt?
Yeah.
I actually had a question, Carson.
Yeah.
I was going through Twitter just to make sure
Hold on, can you hear him? Somewhat.
Oh, that's right. You can't hear me. Matt, can you just relay this question?
Yeah,
What
sure.
is next for Carson? What is he doing after this? Every graduation's right around the corner.
Yeah, good question, Francis. So he wants to know what we talked about last week. You know, what if you have any plans for what's next? I mean, we talked about it recently, but I'll give you the opportunity to discuss, you know, what you're thinking for after graduation, or if you're going to play anything, or even if you're going to go to college, what interests you in terms of like a major, or if you're not going to go to college and you're going to start working, you know, what's next for you after, you know, at the end of your spring season here.
College is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Sets up your future, so I definitely want to attend college.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't made up my mind on where I want to go yet or what I want to do there. Because obviously I had a big football season, so that obviously increased my chances of playing college football.
Sure.
Same with the wrestling aspect. I was going to wait till after the state tournament to decide officially what I want to do, to see my last showing there, see if I get any more interest from coaches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just going to take it a couple days at a time.
Yep.
See what plays out.
Nice. Cool. How do you like, I know this is your first and only season you'll be with the combined Depew West Seneca roster. How do you like Coach Recor, man? He's a legend, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Recor's a great guy.
Yeah.
I like being a part of that team.
Yep.
Learning different coaching styles is a lot different. I mean, I kind of, in the room, I kind of do, like, set myself apart.
Sure.
I like to with a couple other guys and work on some more advanced stuff, but Coach Recor knows his stuff.
Big time.
Yeah, so don't sleep on him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when you've got state title aspirations and realistic goals like that, it's understandable, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Coach Recor.
Yeah.
I was talking to him yesterday. Your teammate Tina Evans won a big title yesterday at the girls intersectional tournament at Chautauqua Lake. You know, tell me about Tina real quick. I know she's a very accomplished young athlete, had a very good record this year. Is only a sophomore, and I heard she looked very impressive yesterday. So tell me a little bit about Tina.
Yeah, she's really hardworking in the room.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a motor. She doesn't stop. She's always eager to learn different stuff.
Uh-huh.
She's also at 152 pounds, so I would say 152 pounds for us this year is pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but, you know, she's a hard worker, and she deserves everything that she accomplished yesterday.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, thank you. Bonus question. I know a few years ago, I'll put myself here on the put myself under the spotlight a little bit in a negative way. In a few bonus questions. So a few years ago, when I was doing my sectional predictions, I think in 2018-19, I had you losing in the final to your buddy Miles Gronowski, and you go way back with him. How mad were you at me for doing that, for that prediction?
It's fuel. I use it as fuel. Miles is tuning in right now. I know he is for a fact. No, I mean, it's like I said, it's fuel for me.
Yeah, you don't have.
That makes me do better.
Yeah.
To be honest.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I remember Coach Lobosada was like, "Yeah, Carson's pretty mad at you," and I said, "Hey," and you were like, you would look at me and stuff. I was like, "All right, man."
Well, I mean, I was coming.
You won.
Yeah.
I was like, "You won. You got revenge. There you go."
I mean, I came off a tech fall against him in the ECIC finals, then beat him at the Canoodle tournament 2-0 in like ultimate tiebreaker.
Yeah.
It was like, it was something pretty cool. So honestly, I kind of respect your prediction.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
how do you go from a tech fall to?
I don't know, man. It's
2-0.
wrestling and law of averages. You know, you get closer and closer every time. I don't know.
True.
So yeah, I just remember you were mad at me about that one. That was a while back though. We're over those days.
Yeah, we're past that.
All right, Francis. Let's wrap these guys up. And we'll send them on their way to the state individual tournament. You're talking to Depew senior Carson Alberti, sectional champ, heading back to the New York State tournament for the fourth time in his career. In Depew, Seneca assistant coach Matt Frankowski joining us this morning too. Francis, let's wrap it up and send these guys on their way.
You're watching Western New York Wrestling Roundtable on Western New York Athletics.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today. and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
Our homes have become offices, gyms, schools, and playgrounds. And at Western New York Immediate Care, we know you may need us now more than ever. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care physicians are trained to diagnose and treat most non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses. With 5 convenient locations open 7 days a week, help is never far away. Life has changed, but Western New York Immediate Care is still here for you.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, large or small, call 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab right away. If you are in pain or just sore, don't take chances. Call RES today and take advantage of their 24 to 48 hour appointment pledge. With no copays, RES will help navigate the confusing world of no-fault insurance with you, so you can concentrate on getting better. 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab. The most important call you can make after an auto accident.
300 Level Media is a locally owned and operated multi-purpose media company right here in Western.
To the Wrestling Roundtable, we took a quick little break. I have a bonus question for Mr. Alberti. What's going on with the bleached hair? What's going on with that?
You know, after sectionals, me and Cam Casherbone had the idea to start a new Section 6 tradition. You see a lot of the Long Island guys bleach their hair, so
yeah.
We're going to start that as Section 6. We're going to at least try to. We got a lot of guys doing it this year, so that'll be just be on the lookout for a lot of blonde guys at the state tournament. It'll probably be in an orange singlet, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just looks good, and hopefully everyone participates. Hopefully we get full participation on it, and yeah, it looks good.
I mean, it's a new. It could be a new Section 6 tradition. But I was talking to Coach Frankowski over here before we started, and this was definitely something that happened in the 90s quite a bit, and earlier part of the 2000s. So if you guys bring it back, that would be sweet. You know, I know that you are right. The Section 11 guys, the Suffolk County guys, have been doing it for quite some time. But yeah, I say go for it. I mean, it's awesome.
Matt, are you going to bleach your hair blonde?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, my wife will love that. It'll be awesome. Who else is doing it? Maybe you should, Francis.
So far, I got myself. Miles Gronowski did his.
Yep.
Colin Kogenauer. Juicy Matthews already had his.
Juicy,
done.
Yeah, he's already got the top part.
Yeah, he had his done. So
yeah.
I don't know if he's going to add to that. And then today we got most of the Falls kids. Pretty sure the Eden kids.
Eden kids, all their hair's already blonde.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're going bleach though.
All right.
They're bringing it to a different level. We got a lot of guys doing it today and tomorrow specifically, but. Shout out to the Section 6 Blondes group chat and everyone that's going to participate in it. Everyone else, you should really try it out. It looks good on you.
All right, Carson. All right, well, Francis, let's try to kick him out this time. Send him over to practice. So, Carson, thank you for coming in. Appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the state tournament and seeing how wishing for the best for you.
Thank you for having me.
You got it.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today, and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
Our homes have become offices, gyms, schools, and playgrounds. And at Western New York Immediate Care, we know you may need us now more than ever. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care physicians are trained to diagnose and treat most non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses. With 5 convenient locations open 7 days a week, help is never far away. Life has changed, but Western New York Immediate Care is still here for you.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, large or small, call 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab right away. If you are in pain or just sore, don't take chances. Call RES today and take advantage of their 24 to 48 hour appointment pledge. With no copays, RES will help navigate the confusing world of no-fault insurance with you, so you can concentrate on getting better. 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab. the most important call you can make after an auto accident.
300 Level Media is a locally owned and operated multi-purpose media company right here in Western New York. You'll find us everywhere, covering the Bills, Sabres, Buttes, Bisons, Big Four basketball, local college sports, and much more. Our staff offers a variety of media services, from video production, live event coverage, audio broadcasts, professional voiceovers, camera operation, and videography. Visit www.300levelmedia.com or give us a call at 716-427-2600. This is 300 Level Media.
Does he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Look, this is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny. Oh, Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF and...
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Even the most prepared moms experience the unexpected. When you do, we're here for you.
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Western New York Wrestling Roundtable. You just saw Carson Alberti spoke with Matt O'Rourke. He is going to the state tournament. But we're going to turn the rest of the show back to Matt. Of course, we had sectionals last weekend. We've also had some other tournaments. So, Matt, take it away. What is happening? What's the latest in the world of wrestling?
So we did have our sectional tournaments. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Obviously, there's a 2-week break between the sectional championships statewide and the state individual tournament. In Division I, we had quite a weekend at Star Point. You and I were there with the live stream, and then we had a gang with Frank Wolf and a couple of former Section 6 wrestlers who wrestled for JCC down in Jamestown Community College covering that one. But in Star Point, we saw pretty good performance by Niagara Falls. 4 individual titles, 5 sectional champions for them. 2 of them first-time winners, Mike Sipus and Ian Peterson from the Falls were first-time winners, along with Jaden Crumpler and Marfield Reynolds Jr., 2-time sectional champs now. So Niagara County really showed up in that tournament, Francis. I mean, I did some math. They had like 50% of the over 50% of the champions and place winners in the entire tournament. Really amongst, you add in a couple champions from Lockport, a champion from Lockport at 215, a runner-up from Lockport at 285. And let's see who else. Yeah, so you really the bulk of the placements were amongst 3 teams there, about 50% between Star Point, Falls, and Wheatfield. I think combined had like 32 place winners out of the 58 or so possible placements. So those 3 teams really showed up big time. Lancaster and Frontier also had a pretty good showing for representing Erie County ECIC schools. But Niagara County teams really had a day. I know Star Point placed the most with 12. They placed a wrestler at every single weight except for 1, Francis, and that's pretty cool. Wheatfield also had a good day. Wheatfield, I think, is going to be really real tough again next year, Francis. They lose the only 2 seniors they lose are their 2 heavyweights, and we saw them in the finals. We saw the Matthews brothers in the finals. We saw Kogenauer capture his 4th sectional title. So really a lot of good stuff happened. We saw Brian Bielik, the only undefeated wrestler left in Western New York, who is a top 5 seed this weekend at the state individual tournament from Grand Island, also the MOW last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Real quick, what does MOW mean?
Most Outstanding Wrestler.
Okay.
So he's MOW 2 weekends ago. We saw Travis Browning from Frontier. I got a chance to catch up with him. Captured his first sectional title in his 4th time in the finals, and he's a returning state place winner. We have 3 returning state place winners. Travis Browning from Frontier was a 7th place winner a few years ago. Cam Catcherone was a 6th place winner a few years ago, or 2. I say a few years ago. I'm talking about 2020. And then of course we had Mr. Carson Alberti, who was a 5th place finisher 2 years ago, but that was in Division 2. I'll note as well. So yeah, I mean, anything stick out to you from that tournament? I know you enjoyed the 285-pound match, the Conrad Schiston versus Stefan Fearon match.
I was a little nervous throughout the whole thing that they were going to run into us and take us down.
Yeah, I was like sitting there thinking, I hope my stuff is insured. Hope the stuff is insured. But that was an exciting final. Conrad gets the win, and he's also the top seed this weekend at the individual state tournament. So we have 3 top seeds. Conrad at 285 in Division 1. 8th grader Griffin the Plant from Star Point is the top seed at 132 in big schools. And then in small schools, our 1 top seed is Ryan Sweeney from Iroquois, senior from Iroquois High School, 150 match winner. We'll get to Division 2. But yeah, it was quite a day for Section 6 in Division 1. We had a couple true second place finishes. I believe 5. You had that number right. I thought it was more. We only had 5 at Star Point. There was 10 at Jamestown in the small schools. And I think 4 of their true second places wrestled back to that runner-up finish to go to the state tournament, whereas we had 1.
Matt, did you get any feedback on those true second place matchups?
Yeah,
did it live up to what they expected? Were they unsure about it? How did it kind of pan out? What was your feedback?
Other than the people that may have lost a wrestler in the true second match, everybody else thoroughly enjoyed it. In small schools as well, I know it was basically another extra round for them. They had 10 true second matches, so the referees got a ton of work. But I think the overall consensus was very, very. I think the overall consensus was very, very strong opinion in favor of the true second place. So it's technically a pilot program right now. Put forward by the State Wrestling Committee that was approved as a pilot program by NISWA. But I think it might be here to stay given how, and I'm looking at some of the state brackets right now as well. There was a couple true seconds in other places too, or some, in the most of the sections in the state, there's 5 true seconds. 5 sections in each division did a true second, so only 2 at the top of each one had 3 places. It sends automatically all 3 place winners, and some at the bottom only send 1. So there's no need for true second in some of these places. But in 5 sections in Division 1 and 5 ones in Division 2, there is a true second. So sectional championship weekend got a whole lot more chaotic 2 weekends ago across New York State.
Do you think it made things fairer? Do you feel like it a more truer second place? Do you feel the second place, the guy who got second place, do you feel it's more accurate maybe of what things should be as far, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure honestly, man, because I've never seen this in my lifetime. There's probably some older than me who may be more familiar with the history of the true second place. I know in a lot of international tournaments they've been doing it for quite some time. Given the response from the coaches and the fans from around the section 2 weeks ago, I think my stance is going to be in favor of it. I know part of the strategy for organizing the true second place matches was to do the third place match at the same time as the sectional championship match in both Division 1 and Division 2. I think there was a strategical kind of advantage that they wanted to kind of eliminate for whoever wrestles third or fourth. I guess it was probably the right thing to do, but I don't necessarily. The wrestlers got to take care of it themselves one way or another. I guess if I were to make an official stance, I'd say I guess I'm pro true second place match.
You were in the pro camp.
Yeah, and if Section 6 Division 1 or Division 2 ever makes it into the top two stratosphere part where we send all 3 of our top place winners, there'll be no need for it. But that's cumulative of, formula is cumulative of past 3 years placement at the state individual tournament as a section. And they concoct that into like a wild card formula, and that if you fall within the certain range, then yes, you have to be in the, do your true second. You can choose not to do your true second too. Section has a choice to do it or not to do it. Section 6 opted in favor of doing the true second place match. And like I said, I mean, for the most part, the runner-up from the final won that match, that last match. In Division 1, there was 5 true second place matches. Only one who didn't make the final claimed a victory, and that was Wheatfield's Casey Robinson at 215 pounds, who had a thrilling match in the true second, won it in the very end of the match. I think it was a 1-0 score to earn a trip to the state tournament. And then in Division 2, there was 4 true second matches, and the one I want to highlight the most is actually Barker's Royalton Heartland Zach Hill. Get this, lost in the first round, and then won 4 straight matches by decision, including an overtime match, to win the true second place at, I think, 189 pounds in small schools to earn a trip to the state tournament. So, I mean, I kind of picked that one out. That one's true grit right there. Losing in the first round and then winning 4 straight decisions with an overtime match mixed in there that's pretty gritty in terms of if we're gonna do wrestling talk. So, I thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Zach Hill for sure. Yeah, so I guess Division 1. Just to wrap that up, a lot of the usual suspects were in the mix there. I know Olean had a champion with Chris Bargy at 189, who had a 5-2 lead. Jack McDonald from OP tied it up late, but Bargy got a gutsy overtime takedown to win the sectional title in that one. I know Sweet Home, we talked about. Carson Alberti wasn't here. We talked about Cam Millender, Sweet Home's. Cam Millender wrestled that true second place match and was a winner. So he'll be the first Panther at the state tournament since 2017, which is pretty cool. We're going to send a couple of entries at 110, not talking about Section 6 necessarily, but the Western New York as a whole, with Browning, who's a section champ this year and state place winner. Kenny Schmitz, who's a sectional champ from last year from Hamburg. And then also our CHSAA champion, Austin Zimmerman from St. Joe's, claimed the CHSAA 110-pound title. And for the second year in a row, well, he won at 102 last year. But Zimmerman will get a chance to wrestle at the state tournament as well. So actually, Western New York left 3 representatives in that weight class instead of 2 elsewhere. So, I'm excited to see the Matthews brothers, Tayshawn and Tremel Matthews from Niagara Wheatfield at the state tournament. Those two have worked hard over the years. Loyal wrestlers of the NWAA club. And I'm excited to see those two mix it up, along with Colin Kogenauer from Wheatfield, who's a junior and a 4-time sectional champ. Still looking for that elusive placement on the state tournament podium, but they had a very exciting final, those two Falcons wrestlers last weekend that we saw. So I guess that kind of wraps it up for Division 1. We got Division 2 we can talk about. And I also want to get to the intersectional girls tournament from yesterday at Chautauqua Lake as well.
All right. On that note, why don't we take a break? We'll come back and we'll talk about all of that. You're watching the Western New York Wrestling Roundtable on Western New York Athletics.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to WNYImmediatecare.com for more information.
All right, welcome back to the Western New York Wrestling Roundtable. I'm Francis Beck. Along with me is Matt O'Rourke. He's there checking on a couple things, getting you up-to-date wrestling news you need to know, like at the Adam Schefter of us, late-breaking updates.
Yeah.
Matt, we were talking about the sectional championships, but there was a lot more that's happened the past couple days, or the past few little while. Walk me through what's yeah, you take it away.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the sectional tournaments. We haven't talked since then, so we're kind of just wrapping that up. We discussed Division 1, Section 6 championships. Let's talk about Division 2 real quick and learn a little bit about who's going to go to the state individual tournament for us. At Jamestown 2 weekends ago, we had kind of a Southwestern and Newfane show in the finals. Each of them had 3 champions. Each of them will send 4 wrestlers to the state individual tournament. We had a finalist, or we had a true runner-up winner from Southwestern, Kenji Walters, at 110 pounds. So Southwestern doubles up at 102 and 110, sending representatives at both weights. Meanwhile, at 172, they've got top-seeded 8th grader Tavio Hoos, who's had an amazing 8th grade season, and also a big boy weight class as well. So at 172, he was a sectional champion, and then Dante Hoos, returning sectional champion from 2020 and 6th place New York State winner, is back at 215 pounds, and he will definitely be in the conversation this weekend in Albany for a state title. So could possibly the runner-up at that weight, Trevor Berry, we know, the outstanding sophomore athlete from Iroquois High School, earned an auto qualifier to the state individual tournament, and then as well as we had discussed, our only number 1 seed in Division 2 going into Albany, Ryan Sweeney from Iroquois, is going to head back to the state individual tournament after winning a sectional title 2 years ago, looking to place and maybe more this time. So, other than Southwestern and Newfane, we didn't really have many other teams that won more than one individual title, with the exception of Eden. 110 pounds, Bryce Della Penta was a winner, sectional title. And then also at 126, John Vicario was actually the lowest seeded wrestler of the tournament to win a sectional title as the 4 seed. He knocked off the top seed in the semifinals. 126 was an interesting weight class. So was 132, but 126 it was one of those wide open weight classes, Francis, where there wasn't necessarily maybe one, other than the top seed, who was Dom Calera from Medina, or Gavin Ciarfella from Medina, who has been to the state tournament. Nobody else in that weight class had been before. Well, never mind, I take that back. There was one. But the top 4 or 5 seeds were all very, I think, evenly matched, and I think anybody on any given day could have won that thing. John Vicario shows up, takes out the 4 seed, takes out the 2 seed in the finals, earns an automatic qualifier into the state individual tournament. But before that, in the semifinals, we had 2 seed Aiden Buttery from Newfane knock off a very good wrestler in Pioneer, Xander Kirsch, in overtime. That kind of definitely caught my attention while I was at Starpoint on that Saturday. Buttery falls in the finals out of Vicario, and then also had to wrestle that true second place match against Ciarfella from Medina. So Ciarfella wrestled back to earn a spot, a return trip to the state individual tournament with that true second place victory. I'll say Dakota Moscow, 152 from Portville, definitely a state tournament hopeful. Had a very good win over a very tough young wrestler, Brady Heckathorn from Pioneer, one of 3. Pioneer had 3 finalists. So Brady Heckathorn will end up going to the state individual tournament as well. 2-time sectional finalist. He's a junior, so he'll have a chance to possibly win a sectional championship next year. But I know Brady's family is very excited, and coaches are very excited about the hard work that young man's put in to get to the state individual tournament. At 160, we had a champion from Springville High School, Nick Brown, their first state tournament representative since 2017 as well. He had a very solid win over Pioneer's Don Bennett. Both of those two will be headed to the state tournament. At 285 returning section champ Charles LaRose from Newfane was a winner, defended his top seed in that bracket. But Randolph's Ryan Carpenter wrestled back to a true second place finish in that bracket. Actually, Randolph had a finalist at 172 with Luke Padgett, and then Carpenter had lost in the semifinals, and they both ended up having to wrestle in the true second place match. So Padgett defended his runner-up finish, and then Carpenter actually took over the true second place finish at the heavyweight position. So pretty cool. I mentioned Zach Hill at 189, won 4 straight matches to take true second. Pretty gutsy performance from him. And then Luke Tomlinson at Maple Grove. Kind of like Browning in Division I, Tomlinson had been in the sectional final. I think this was his 3rd trip to the sectional finals. He took 3rd a couple of years ago as well. Was a state wildcard entry in 2020. But he finally gets a sectional title on his resume with a very good win over Newfane's Adam Huntington. Huntington actually was what I think gave Tomlinson. The Tomlinson is what you might say a prolific pinner. He goes out there real fast and gets it done. I think he's only wrestled 3 matches to the conclusion, like a full 6-minute match this year. 2 of them were against Huntington 2 weeks in a row in the class final and then in the sectional final. So Huntington will get an entry to the state tournament as well. And we'll see 3 Eden wrestlers. Let me make sure I mentioned Bryce Della Penta, Johnny Vicario, their section champs, as well as Shane Walczyk from Raider returning sectional champion from 2021. So 138 featured 2 returning or former sectional champions. Sweeney, a 2020 section champ, and Walczyk, a 2021 section champ. So we'll be well represented at that weight as well. And probably maybe the match of the season, Dan Kirsch from Pioneer got his upset over Jordan Joslin from Chautauqua Lake. So Kirsch is already a 2-time section champ. Joslin had placed in the section last year as a 9th grader. Very impressive this season from Chautauqua Lake, a sophomore. Came into the tournament as a top seed, undefeated, and really dominated his entire, everybody this season. He had major decision wins over 2 state tournament placers from 2020. One of those was against Dan Kirsch from Pioneer, who's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. Very hard-working kid. I know Coach Edwards and the Pioneer community love him, and he's a senior looking for a state title. But they meet in the finals, and Kirsch was a winner in overtime in that match, 4-3, and quite possibly the match of the season, and also an MOW honors. So, but we will be well represented at that weight at 118-pound small schools. Unfortunately, both of them are in the top side of the bracket where they could meet before they even make the semifinals, which I was hoping that they would be separated. I thought that would be a really good semifinal match, but only one of them, if they make it that far, only one of them will represent in the state semifinals. Obviously, they need to win their matches and get there. But that would be on, I believe, that's a really big quarterfinal match, assuming Joslin and Kirsch, if they are to match up. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but that's one every wrestling fan should have circled if they have a chance to watch. So.
And I believe there was a tournament. I could find your tweet here for the ladies, an intersectional girls tournament.
Yeah, so that was yesterday as well. So that was the 3rd annual New York State Intersectional Girls Wrestling Championships was yesterday. This is a very new event. In 2019, Section 6 hosted it at Niagara County Community College. The next year it switched hands and went over to Brockport State. Obviously last year it was canceled, like all of our events like that. Anything that crossed county or section lines was canceled. But Chautauqua Lake was nice enough to bring it back. And with the help of Alex Conti, and I talked to Mr. Pete Dorman yesterday and got some really good info. And I caught up with a bunch of the young ladies, and I wrote an article on it yesterday. And I'm kind of glad I took the time to do it because I learned a lot just from the coaches I spoke to and from some of the athletes I spoke to. It sounds like it was a really great event. Western New York was represented by a good handful of public school girls as well as a couple of young ladies from St. Mary's Lancaster. We had 3 champions, actually, at 118 pounds. Lakeshore's Alexia Thuman won, had a very impressive day. At 138 pounds, we had a winner from Lewiston Porter, Megan Edwards, one of the two Edwards twins. And then at 152, we'd already talked about Christina Evans from West Seneca, had a very dominant performance, looked good at her weight, and also won a crossover match against a very impressive young wrestler from Warsaw High School. So it was actually, Francis, was pretty cool. The field was made up of wrestlers from Monsignor Martin representatives, sections 6, 5, 4, and 3. And the representatives from Section 3 came from probably almost as far, and I know this from experience, about as far away in Section 3 as you can get from Buffalo, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so a couple of these young ladies put in some serious miles to come and wrestle here. They were also visited by Canada's 3-time Olympic medalist, Tanya Verbeek, who kind of spoke to the crowd and was there to hand out awards and kind of provide some encouragement to the all-girls field. So that was really cool. And she brought, I think, one of her silver medals with her to show off to the young ladies in attendance. I thought that was really cool as well. So it's a really nice get.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good day of wrestling. I know there was a couple of real all-stars there. Canandaigua's Sophie Pollock is a nationally ranked high school female at her weight. And Emily Sindoni from Tioga from Section 4 was the outstanding wrestler of the tournament. I got a lot of feedback that she was very impressive. At 110 pounds, Tegan Sybil from Bolivar, Richburg, Section 5, made some history this year in Section 5 as the first female class champion winner in Section 5 history of like the Class A. We have those. I think they have AA, B1, or AA, B1, 2, 3, like that. So I think Bolivar's in the B3 field. And either way, she made history as Section 5's first class champion female. She wrestled Malaya McKinney Updegraff from Lockport, who also placed in the Class AA Section 6 Class AA tournament the same weekend. So very good matchup there of two young ladies who placed in the boys wrestling sectional tournaments the weekend, or class tournaments the weekend before. So that's or 2 weeks before that. So that was pretty cool. And then there was a number of other good local athletes. The McCarley twins from North Tonawanda both placed. Orchard Park had a couple representatives. Portville had a runner-up at 152 pounds. Frontier had a representative. Iroquois, Chautauqua Lake had 4 entries. I think they had 5 young ladies on their girls' team this year. They had 4 entries in the tournament. And then also Jamestown Skyland Tomlinson I wanted to mention, a 3-time finalist, 2 times runner-up and 1-time champion at this event. Definitely one of the more seasoned veterans of the entire tournament, so I kind of wanted to shout that one out as well. Also a couple wrestlers from Cheektowaga that I see in there, Alexis Creek and Jocelyn Munoz. So, yeah, Section 6 was well represented, and I think it was a really good tournament. And also I wanted to note, for anyone that read my article, you might have picked up on this, but I did mention I got a chance to talk to Pete Dorman, who let me know that Chautauqua Lake, I noticed early on in the season that there was a number of young ladies on their roster. I didn't realize that they had their own kind of separate entity team this year. They received board approval, Francis, to have their own girls-only team at Chautauqua Lake next year, which would be the first in our area amongst public schools. We know St. Mary's Lancaster already has that arrangement, and Coach Zach Weiss here in Lancaster. But Chautauqua Lake will host the first all-girls wrestling team in the public school area, and with board approval and all that in place to start next season. A couple of other small schools in the same kind of realm, Tioga and Warsaw, also have approved girls, all girls teams at their respective schools, which I think is pretty cool, and it's kind of working towards the number of teams in different parts of the state needed to become an emerging sport and then to become a sanctioned sport for girls wrestling, which is a huge movement right now. And I know that you've done a lot of work with girls hockey, so maybe you can relate to the movement as a whole.
Yeah, I wasn't there for the early stages, but I've been there for the end stages, and you'd see where girls hockey is now. I mean, I don't want to say it's complete, but it's in a very good spot. We have there's a bunch of schools, 9 teams, and there really isn't they don't really need to go searching anymore. They're in a very good position.
I think wrestling is kind of on the way with that. Yeah, I mean, hockey's laid out a great plan. I think girls hockey in Western New York has laid out a good plan. I'd say that girls wrestling in Western New York is I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again, is one of the leaders, in my opinion, in the state of New York for the girls wrestling movement. So I think it's kind of cool. I think it's a very historic time where we're kind of living in amongst our traditional, boys wrestling and the excitement of the state tournament and the dual meet tournament and stuff. I think it's a very exciting time to see the rise of girls wrestling in the day and age we're living in right now. It's pretty cool to see, be a part of it. So, anyway, that'll wrap that up for the girls tournament. I did want to shout that out. Looks like it was a great event, well run. Props to Chautauqua Lake for hosting it. I know that they kind of stepped up. They were looking for a host for it, and so the girls, the girls leadership down there, Pete Dorman and his staff, as well as the help of the boys team, were there to support their teammates and kind of help move mats and help the process of the tournament throughout the day. So pretty cool. So.
All right, Matt, before we go, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is our best chance, or maybe how successful do you think Section 6 could be at this weekend state tournament?
Well, it's going to be hard to – so I've been doing a preview, and it'll be out in the next day or two. And I'm working through it now, and it's a lot of research because results from last year aren't really taken into consideration because the state wrestling was so inconsistent last year. With some places didn't wrestle at all. Some places wrestled in the winter. Some places wrestled in the spring like we did. So data-wise, you really have to fall back on place finishers and qualifiers from 2 years ago, as well as new section champs, which are, most of the tournament is going to be first-time state tournament qualifiers, which means a great deal of unproven, untested wrestlers at the state individual tournament level event, if that makes sense.
Your juniors and seniors from 2 years ago who mostly won are now gone.
Right.
So it's a new batch of kids.
Right. So right now you're all of those kids that are going to be back now that were state place winners 2 years ago were outstanding sophomores, freshmen, or outstanding sophomores or freshmen 2 years ago at the state tournament, which means our senior crew now and junior crew now statewide should be very, very good. If they were at the state tournament at any given weight placing 2 years ago, that's like an impressive crowd. And I'm finding where even early on in this tournament, if you look at 118 pounds in Division I, it's already surprising me with how much returning talent there is that were in the sophomore and freshman ranks 2 years ago. There's 3 returning state place winners and 6 returning qualifiers at one weight at 118 pounds. All those guys were little guys at 99 or 102, whatever, 99 pounds 2 years ago, or 106, and they just didn't get bigger, And that's 2 years ago that they have 6 qualifiers back at that weight, 118 pounds Division I, and 3 state place winners, all in Division I kids. So, our anybody looking to podium in that one is going to have some serious work cut out for them. Not an impossibility though, of course. But I mean, our best chances, I like Conrad at 285 pounds. I think he's the top seed there. I like Carmine Calamari from Southwestern at 102. He's his 2 seed. I think he's got a very good opportunity ahead of him. Cam Catcherbone, we talked about, is the 3 seed in the weight class. He's going to have some work cut out for him in the semis, and if he were to make the finals, in the finals as well, that could be a very interesting Section 6, Section 5 matchup with Rush Henrietta's Jaden Scott, who's the top seed in the weight class, who's also going to go Division I in North Carolina next year, which is pretty cool. But that's just looking ahead to a potential final. That's not even a semifinal match, which will be a good one for Cam as well. So, we didn't get a ton of top seeds for small schools. We got a couple in Division I. But I got to really lean. It's my absolute favorites Conrad, Calamari. I like Dante Hoos at 215 pounds, and Newfane Simon Lingle at 189 are both 2 seeds as well. I think that they kind of control their own destinies in those weights too. So I guess if I were to give you my Matt O'Rourke stamp of approval, I'd say that those are probably my favorites. Obviously, anything can happen at the state individual tournament. It's a 21-man bracket these days, so there's certainly a lot more bodies involved than there was in the past.
And it is a 2-day tournament, Friday and Saturday. So how many matches a day will, let's say, the champion probably go through?
The champion could wrestle 2 or 3 their first day, and then only 2 their second day, because they'll do semifinals in the morning on Saturday, and the finals later that night. So your champion could do that. I mean, you can wrestle up to 6 matches in a day now in the postseason for postseason considerations. And I believe everybody who survives day 1 will place on day 2. It's just a matter of where, what place finish they're in. If it's 7th, 8th. In the past, Francis, the blood round would be Saturday morning through, Saturday morning for about 2 or 3 hours or so. In that round, I say the blood round because that round is the difference maker of who will go on to place and who will get bounced from the tournament. That round is now on a Friday night because of the introduction of the 7th and 8th place match. So that's basically a loser from the first round on Saturday now is still guaranteed to place. It's just a matter of where. They could place 8th. They could wrestle back to the winner of that match could wrestle back to 3rd. The loser could fall to 8th place. It's just a matter of kind of where and when. So.
All right, Matt. Anything else before we go?
No. I didn't want to get too much into the class or the sectional tournaments. I think we all know who won those. The good, impressive performances. I rounded that one up as well, or both of those tournaments last week. Kind of packaged that up for all the wrestling fans out there. I'm working on a preview right now, and I'll have that out soon. I'm headed off to the state tournament. On Thursday. Taking the train, as I like to do. It's the best way to get out to Albany. I highly recommend it for anybody getting to Albany. For the state tournament. So I'll be heading out there Thursday. I'll be there all weekend, and I'm going to connect with a couple of other of my peers and counterparts from around the state and see what's going on. I know I got a chance to talk to my old friend Dylan Morrison, who's from a Governor guy in the North Country in Section 10. Filled him in on what's going on out here, and we're going to try to coordinate and do some stuff in Albany to kind of bring in some information and maybe get to talk to some people from other parts of the state that we aren't as familiar with. Section 4, Section 9, have a couple of contacts. So you can follow me. Obviously, I'll be writing. Be doing a little bit of blogging, but probably more so a little bit more picture, video type of stuff.
It'll be on your Twitter at Matt_O'Rourke1, and of course Western New York Athletics as well.
Yeah, and then I've been pretty active on my Instagram. My Wrestling Roundtable Instagram took off pretty good. It's a big hit with the kids, so I'll be on that one as well. But yeah, I'll be firing off tweets and I'll be rounding stuff up. And I think I'm going to post a document on WNY Athletics as like a day 1 and day 2 roundup for who's still alive after day 1 and who's going to place and all that good stuff. I'll see what I'm going to do about blogging, but you can watch the tournament live. It's on Track Wrestling or Flow Wrestling. It's one of those for all you wrestling fans. So my blogging skills probably won't be as needed as much. I imagine I'll kind of see what the vibe is when I get there. But I'm just excited to go back. It's been 2 years, Francis, and it really is a treat for. It's like if you're a baseball fan, you go to the World Series, or your team goes to Syracuse for the Dome in football, or what else in hockey. If your team makes it to the Harbor Center or wherever else you guys play hockey, if you're a tennis player in the state and you go to Queens or whatever, right? Don't they do tennis championships?
If they do it in I forget where they do it. It's somewhere downstate.
It's somewhere cool like that. It's like a culminating event. It's kind of the same thing with wrestling. It's your prize kind of at the end of the season. If you're a parent, if you're a kid, if you're a coach, if you're an administrator, if you're really anybody who's interested and involved in New York State high school wrestling, like I've been for quite some time, the state tournament's really like. It's a nice culminating event, not just for wrestling and crowning champions, but for seeing your contacts and your people that you're friendly with and that you share the sport with, I guess. a common interest, it's a really great event for that. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we missed out on it last year, so.
All right. Well, yeah. Again, Matt will be there this weekend. That'll be Friday and Saturday in Albany. I believe the finals will also be on the NFHS network. And I know if you guys watched the sectional championships with us a couple of weekends ago, you're already covered for that. So just hopefully remember your login. You'll be able to watch the finals from there. But that will do it for us this morning. We want to thank Carson Alberti for coming in earlier. You can come back when this is over, rewatch that interview. Coming up tonight, we're going to have Section 6 playoff hockey. Large school semifinals take place 6 o'clock. That'll be on the NFHS network. And then we continue all week long with playoff hockey. But for Matt O'Rourke, I'm Francis Beck. Thank you for tuning in to the Wrestling Roundtable this edition. And keep an eye out. Stay on the mat.
Yep.
Even the most prepared moms experience the unexpected. When you do, we're here for you.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.